The rain was falling in thick sheets, drenching the sidewalks of the bustling city. People hurried past with umbrellas and raincoats, barely noticing the young girl sitting on the corner of 8th Avenue. Her clothes were torn, her shoes had holes, and her hands trembled as she clutched a paper cup with only a few coins inside. Her name was Elena, and though she was only 21, life had already dealt her more pain than most could bear. "Spare some change, please," she whispered, her voice barely audible against the roar of passing cars. But no one stopped. To them, she was invisible, just another shadow of misfortune that lined the streets of the city. That's when Alexander Gray, one of the wealthiest CEOs in the nation, walked by. He wasn't dressed like a billionaire that night. Instead, he wore a simple black coat, blending in with the crowd. To the world, Alexander was known as ruthless, a man who valued profit, efficiency, and results above all else. But deep down, he was a man searching for something real, something human in a life that had become all about numbers and power. He stopped in front of Elena, which immediately startled her. Very few people ever stopped. He looked at her closely, not with pity but with curiosity. "Why are you out here?" he asked bluntly. Elena hesitated, embarrassed. She looked down at the wet concrete. "Life didn't exactly go the way I thought it would," she whispered. Alexander's sharp eyes studied her. "Are you hungry?" She nodded shyly. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, in a move that would change her life forever, he reached into his wallet and pulled out something unusual, a sleek black credit card, the kind only reserved for the ultra-wealthy. He handed it to her. "Here, take this," he said. Elena froze, her eyes widening. This must be a mistake." "It's not," Alexander replied. "I want to see what you'll do with it." She looked at the card, then back at him, unsure if this was some kind of cruel joke. But his expression was unreadable, almost testing her. She could feel the weight of his gaze. With trembling hands, she took the card. I don't understand." "You will," he said. "Go buy whatever you need. I'll be watching." And just like that, he stepped back into the shadows of the rainy street, leaving her with a card that could purchase almost anything in the world. Elena stood there, her heart pounding. She thought about walking into a luxury store, about the clothes she never had, the shoes that weren't falling apart, or even the idea of a warm hotel room. But as she looked at the soaked bills in her paper cup, she felt a pang of guilt. Her first stop wasn't a boutique or a hotel. She walked into a small convenience store. The cashier gave her a doubtful look when she tried to pay with the card, but after a swipe and approval, she left with bags of sandwiches, bottled water, and blankets. Instead of keeping it all for herself, she walked down the alleyways where other homeless men and women were huddled in the cold. "Here," she said softly, handing out food and water. Their eyes lit up, some even tearing up at the unexpected kindness. By the time the night ended, Elena was left with only a single sandwich for herself. She sat under a broken awning, nibbling at the bread, while others around her enjoyed their first warm meal in days. What she didn't know was that Alexander had been following her the whole time, unseen, watching every move she made. And as he watched, something inside him shifted. For years he had dealt with people who would do anything for money, people who lied, cheated, and stole to gain power. But here was a girl who had nothing, absolutely nothing, yet chose to give when given the chance. The next morning, Alexander approached her again. She looked startled to see him, almost worried she had done something wrong. "I see you didn't buy yourself jewelry or luxury clothes," he said, his voice calm but firm. Elena lowered her eyes. "I couldn't. I saw others suffering. Worse than me. I just thought, if I had the chance to help even for one night, maybe it would mean something." Alexander was silent for a long moment, then finally spoke. "Do you want to change your life?" Elena looked up, confused. "Change my life?" "Yes," he said. "I own one of the largest corporations in this country. I don't hand out opportunities lightly, but you've shown me something most people can't. Selflessness. Come with me. Work for me. Prove yourself, and I'll give you more than a card. I'll give you a future." Elena felt her chest tighten. She didn't know whether to believe him. This man had appeared out of nowhere, tested her, and now offered her a chance at something she thought she'd lost forever. Hope. From that day on, Elena's life began to transform. Alexander placed her in a small apartment and gave her a job at the lowest level in his company. Not as a gift, but as a test. She filed papers, made copies, fetched coffee, and worked harder than anyone else. Many employees looked down on her, mocking her clothes or whispering about how she had no degree, no experience. But Alexander saw her determination. Every late night she stayed. Every obstacle she overcame, she reminded him of what resilience truly looked like. Months turned into years. Elena climbed the ladder slowly, earning respect not because of her connection to the CEO, but because of her hard work, her integrity, and her unshakable kindness. She became someone people trusted, someone who would stay late to help others, someone who turned her own pain into compassion for those around her. And all the while, Alexander watched, proud but never interfering too much. He wanted her to build her own path, to discover her own strength. The true turning point came one winter when the company faced a crisis. A major deal had collapsed and morale was at an all-time low. Many executives panicked, some even tried to abandon ship. But Elena stood firm. She gathered the employees, encouraged them, and reminded them why they believed in the company in the first place. Her words lit a spark in the team, and slowly, things began to turn around. Even Alexander admitted that her speech carried more weight than his. It was then that he realized something profound. He had tested her years ago with a simple black credit card, but in truth she had been the one to test him, to remind him of what humanity, kindness, and leadership truly meant. Years later, Elena would become one of the top leaders in the company, known not for her wealth but for her story. She often returned to the streets she once called home, giving back, creating shelters, and opening programs for the homeless. And when people asked her how it all began, she would smile softly and say, "It started with a black card, but the real gift wasn't money. It was the chance to prove who I was even when the world thought I was nothing." And so, the story of a homeless girl and a billionaire CEO became a legend of compassion, resilience, and the belief that sometimes the smallest test reveals the greatest strength of all.